Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's that time of the week where we get to take a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. All right, before I get into the knives today, I got a quick request for folks out there. If you enjoy this channel and you haven't given us a subscribe yet, would really appreciate it if you do. We're trying to hit the milestone of getting 100,000 subscribers right by the end of the year. It's looking like it's going to come down right to the wire. We're really hoping we can hit that. But of course, we're going to need your guys' help to get there. I don't like bugging you guys for this sort of thing. I'd rather just let you guys do what you like and kind of present my knives and you guys have some fun. But if you ever feel like doing me just a little bit of a favor, would appreciate it. Thanks. All right, first item today is actually a restock. This is the Microtech TAC-P, and I have showed this on a new items video before, but they've been going extremely quickly. They might have even been sold out by the time that video had posted. But as of right now, as of the time we are filming this video, we do have some on the shelf. So for those of you out there who've been waiting, now's your chance. These come in at 77 bucks, and it's just your everyday carry spike, essentially. You can use it as an ice pick, puncturing open boxes. It does have sort of a rudimentary edge here at the front. You can even sharpen it and strop down the backside to get rid of that burr. And the key word, like I said, is kind of rudimentary. This is not a good slicing knife, but you can open some boxes, open some packages, pierce through things as you need to, and just have something that's kind of cool to carry with you. It does have a Kydex sheath here. It's got a bit of a carbon fiber look to it. And we've got an ulti clip there on the side so you can pocket carry this very easily. Glass breaker there on the end. In stock, at least right now, while we're filming this. Hopefully by the time the video posts, we'll still have some. There you go, Microtech TAC-P. Right, next up, I've got a new Leek to show you. This is the Ken Onion Leek by Kershaw. Very cool knife. We've got a new colorway right now. We've got a black DLC blade with a bronze aluminum handle, and we were able to work a good deal on these. We're passing the price on to you, or passing our savings on to you. These are coming in just under 50 bucks right now. But apart from just the new colors, it's the Kershaw Leek EDC Classic. You've got the modified Warncliffe shape to the blade, 14C 28N Sandvik steel, nice fine grain. Can take a very sharp edge very easily, and that's really definitely appreciated on a knife like this with a very acute point that you're going to be able to maintain very easily day to day. Very classic design. Easy to use handle, no protrusions or finger guards, that sort of thing. Liner lock, 2-position pocket clip on this model, up or down, tip up or tip down on the right side. Speed safe assisted opening. Classic Kershaw Leek, cool new color, good new price. All right, next up, I've got a knife that does share a little bit of kind of EDC DNA with the Leek. This is the ArtisanCutlery Small Archaeo in non-locking format, and we've got 2 new entries into our Knife Center exclusives in this pattern. First up, let's talk about the marbled carbon fiber one first. This one comes in at about 120, and you've got that gorgeous marbled carbon fiber on each side. Some nice blue accents on the pivot collar, backspacer, and pocket clip. But I think my favorite of the 2 is definitely the new Pack-A-Wood version. Pack-A-Wood, of course, stabilized material, so you don't have to worry about shrinking or swelling or cracking as much as you would with a natural material, and it looks fantastic with the gold accents here. Again, pivot collar, sculpted pocket clip, and backspacer. Really fantastic gentleman's knife, either one of these really. But yeah, something about the wood one I really like. Now the blade on these are just under 3 inches, VG10 Damascus, so you've got good looks and some pretty good performance as well. And the whole key to this thing is it's a non-locking knife, but it's still fidget friendly and it's still a flipper, which is really impressive. Now we've been calling mechanisms like this a double detent system because they usually have a detent ball on a spring arm on either side of the handle. This model, I shouldn't call it a double detent because this model only has a single detent bar, but because of that, you've got really nice action. You can actually flip it open. If you are worried about the security of a non-locking system, it doesn't, essentially it doesn't take a ton of pressure to kind of pop the detent when you're going to close it. But this way, or this design helps you in a couple of different ways. For one, you've got a prominent finger guard right here. So when your hand is there, even if you do happen to kind of pop the blade, your finger is going to stop it from moving any further. But even more than that, on the lanyard there at the back, you get a hardened steel pin that you can actually insert right behind the pivot. There we go. Sorry, I had a little bit of a bad angle there. That way, you've got essentially a fixed pivot or a fixed bar right against the tang of the knife, so it's not gonna close at all. So you really do have some really strong lockup from this knife, which is a misnomer because it's a non-locking knife. So there you go. Really cool setup. We're really happy to have this as our pattern right now. And just, it's a really cool, really cool set of materials on this one. If that doesn't look classy to you, it does. I'm just gonna say, this looks classy to you guys out there. Prove me wrong, prove me wrong. So in addition to those knives, we've also got 2 new exclusives in the same set of materials from CJRB, which is the budget sister brand of Artisan Cutlery, in their REA folder, which is definitely one of the best budget-oriented folders in general in 2020 so far. Really fantastic little design. Again, we've got a marbled carbon fiber version. That one comes in about 75 bucks, so a bit more than the standard versions of the REA. We've also got the Packawood version coming in at 55. Now, what sets these apart from, in addition to just the cool handle materials from some of the other ones, instead of the simpler folded pocket clip those have, we've actually got a milled titanium pocket clip on both of these. And I don't know, normally I'm actually a really big fan of a deep carry pocket clip, which those others have. But I've seen this knife in both, and there's just something about this particular design where, to me, and actually to a couple other people here, to Seth, our social media guy, we just felt like the sculpted clip added something really special to this knife on what's already admittedly a very special little knife. It has sort of a classic type of look, very simple lines, sub 3-inch drop point on these, nice full flat grind, and the action on these is what really sets them apart. The first time I held one of these, we were able to help debut this in our Blade Show Week coverage earlier this year. The first time I opened it, the knife actually felt assisted opening. It's just that smooth of a knife, but it's not. You've got ball bearings in the pivot, and just that pocket clip is in just the right spot in relation to that pivot where it's very, very satisfying. Now, the other thing these blades have going for them is this is RPM 9 powder metallurgy steel, which CJRB released fairly recently. And what they were going for with it was something that would have have the edge retention of something like D2, but A, be easier to sharpen, and B, also be stainless. And they've hit that really well with this particular material without coming out with something that's going to drive the price up super, super high, which is really cool to see stuff like this in the budget arena right now. And 2020 has been a great year for budget knives. So speaking of some good budget knives, I've got 2 new versions right here of the Real Steel Luna Lite, both coming in at about $31.50 right now. Now, you may have seen a few weeks ago I showed you our black and white Stormtrooper version of this knife. We were actually able to get them in before the standard versions even hit the shelves. The standard versions are now here as well. A few different colors. The blue is very nice. We've also got a black and an olive G10, as well as a really cool yellow G10 right now. As far as the specs on this, we've got a D2 blade, about 2 3/4 of an inch, fairly thin, full flat grind, and a great looking drop point shape going on. And this is actually a slip joint as well. There's no locking mechanism, but you do get a deep carry pocket clip, so it's going to be easier to carry than a lot of simple slip joints out there. Being a real steel, we've got their sort of 1/3, 2/3 stop rather than a traditional half stop, but some really nice walk and talk on the open and close. Now, there's no nail nick on this, as you probably saw, but we do have dual full-length fullers, which make it very easy to pinch that blade open without actually having to use your fingernail. Yeah, what can I say? It's a really cool design, very well thought out, and unlike some slip joints, you do have some inherent safety with this. It's not going to be as strong as something like that flipper tab on that Archaeo from earlier, but if you look right here at the bottom, there is a section of the tang of the blade here has a little bit of jimping, and the way at least the way my hand naturally grips this knife, my index finger sits right there. So there is going to be a little bit of resistance to stop the blade from closing, since you don't have a lock on this knife. It's something I definitely appreciate. Really cool little design. Check out all the colors. $31.50 for these right now. All right, let's get into some fancier EDC stuff now. Highly anticipated. This has been, people have been looking forward to this for a while. The new CPM 20CV Cleaver Gerber Fastball flippers. Really cool design. I think we debuted this way back at SHOT Show earlier this year. and they're just now hitting the shelves, coming in at a special price right now, introductory price of about $110. Now the blade length on here is just a skosh longer than 3 inches, so just a little bit longer than the Wharncliffe versions of this, but you get an upgrade to that great 20 CV steel, and you've got some really nice cutting geometry here. The blade itself is not super thick. You've got a decent thin type of blade stock right there with that full flat grind. Even just a hint of taper, it looks like, towards the front of this one, although that may not be true of all of them, but definitely a little bit I can see right there. Man, this knife is going to be ready to slice very nicely, but you're going to get some powerful cuts due to the shape of that edge and the way it's going to interact with the things in front of you that you're going to start cutting. Really cool. Apart from that, the handle is the Fastball you know and love. It's aluminum, you've got a liner lock there, and you've got ball bearings in the pivot, which makes for very good action. Definitely sort of the enthusiast star of Gerber's lineup these days, the whole Fastball lineup. Now even cooler with this really nice shape and this upgraded blade steel. Yeah, there's a lot to love right here for sure. It's going to work well for EDC stuff. Something like this is not going to look too out of place, even in some more formal situations. Maybe not quite a gentleman's knife like those Artisans and CJRBs from earlier, but there's just something about this that feels kind of modern and refined and just a little bit classy. Part of that's due to the color, part of that's just down to the shape and the way it appears. And best of all, at least for me right now, not only is it a really cool knife, but it's also made in the USA. All right, next up, we've got, kicking even higher into the premium realm, 2 new releases from WingManEDC. These are imported knives, but they are decidedly very premium knives. This is the John Barker designed Ferus. It comes in at $480 right now. I know that's definitely quite a jump up in price from the previous knife, and a bit more expensive than a lot of the WingManEDC stuff has been so far, but most of that's down to the handle construction here. This is an integral titanium flipper. As you can see there, no two pieces or no seam there because it's a single piece titanium frame. And on the side, we've got inlays, a few different options. These are the white fat carbon inlays, and they've got a little bit of contour going on as well, so it fits nicely into the hand. Very nice indeed. And then here at the top is probably the coolest part. We've got their kickstop flipper mechanism. No flipper tab that you can see right there, but the back part of this is actually a separate piece from the tang of the blade, and that is your flipper tab. You'll see as I kind of close this that the flipper tab only extends right there at the last part of the closing action. It's really cool. It works very intuitively, feels just like any other flipper, and it essentially just closes up and creates a completely flush set of jimping right there along that integral handle. It just works exceptionally well and looks really cool. As for the rest of the blade itself, we've got a roughly 3-inch blade. It's like 1/16 over that 3-inch mark. M390 steel, compound Tonto shape. Got hollow grinds here at the back and a flat grind there at the tip. But the swedge along the top of the spine there still comes down and gives you a very acute point for piercing. Thickness is a bit more robust. You're somewhere around 5/32 of an inch, but you got a 2-tone horizontal and vertical satin finish here. Looks really cool. All right, next we've got another design from WingManEDC, and even though it doesn't have that kickstop flipper mechanism, I like this a little bit better personally. This suits kind of my vibes a little bit more. And if you couldn't tell already, this is definitely a Tom Mayo design. It's the MTNT Mach 1. A few different versions. There's the titanium version, comes in at $280, and then there's a few different G10 handle options coming in at $180. So a nice big jump between the two. And this is of course the red and black G10, but it's not just a typical layered G10. It's a little bit more chaotic, shall we say. Definitely has a very different flair from your standard G10s. But there's also, I think, a blue and a yellow and black, blue and black and yellow and black for some other color options. Got a milled titanium pocket clip, right side tip up only, and a hidden lanyard point there at the back. Inset liner lock with some nice, a nicely machined liner release right there. Folded up, and you can see this is actually a front flipper after a fashion, or although it's kind of maybe a top flipper if you want to say, because the tab where you're going to actually actuate it is right here, going straight up from the pivot right there. Now you can open it, of course, with that. You've also got Tom Mayo's typical thumb cutout there, so you can open it with your thumb. And for those of you that may struggle a little bit with thumb flippers, you guys know I'm one of those people. This one's no problem at all. It's shaped just right. You've got, I don't know, something about the leverage of where that sits and the ramp, or kind of the curve to the ramp of that tab itself, makes it very, very easy to actuate. And you also have the advantage of being able to index finger flick that as well with a little practice. All that's nice, but for me, the reason I love this knife so much is it all comes down to the blade. It's got just about a perfect shape to my eye. It's exactly the type of shape I like to carry day to day. You've got L-Max steel, just under 3 inches, almost a full flat grind going up. Great shape for EDC and extremely nicely executed as well. It even has sort of a hint of a matte stone washed texture going on. It's not quite as prominent as something like the stonewash on that Fastball Cleaver there earlier, but it's definitely there. Just all around, another really cool, stylish knife, perfect for urban EDC or anywhere else you might need a smaller knife like this. Now, if you want your fancier knife to be a little bit bigger, we're getting in, starting to see more especially of the fancier versions of the Reeve Sebenza 31 starting to hit our shelves. And this week as well, we've got a number of new variants. This particular one caught my eye specifically, so that's why I grabbed this one. This one is the SS20A unique CGG graphics with the hematite cabochon inlay. It's a bit of a mouthful. We'll just make sure to link to the whole Sebenza series, and you can see all of the ones we've got in stock right now. I really like this particular one. Comes in at $675, so definitely a more premium American-made option. Your S35 VN blade's about 3.6 inches with that classic Sebenza shape and that nice aggressive hollow grind, ensuring you've got some really good cutting action along the entire length. Now the milled graphics on here look really cool. In fact, it's something really fancy about it. It's almost deceiving. These little milled dots almost look like tiny diamonds are actually embedded in the handle itself. It's just got that kind of sparkle going on. And then of course you do have that cabochon there at the back that looks, frankly, quite excellent. Now on the back side here, this is a bead blasted finish, and you can see some of the things they tweaked on this knife versus the older Sebenza 21s. For one thing, they angled the pocket clip a little bit so it no longer rests on that lock bar release, and they've actually got a ceramic interface at on the face of that lock bar itself to provide some really long-lasting, a really long-lasting contact patch with the steel of the blade itself. But I tell you, I've been waiting for just the right Sebenza 31 to come along for me. Man, I'm this close to buying this one, so hopefully one of you guys out there will purchase it so I don't have to make that hard decision. Reeve Sebenza's 31s. Reeve Sebenza 31. Cool knife. We've got some cool ones in stock right now. All right, next up we've got some new Balisong trainers. This is the Glidr Sahara. Actually a bunch of different colors right now. This particular one coming in at $132, and I think that's the price on most of them actually. Really cool. They're made in the USA. Sorry, no they're not. They're made in Australia. I should read more before I start showing you stuff. But I really like these. These are exceptionally smooth. You've got washers here in the pivot, PVD coated blade, quote unquote, and the aluminum handles especially are very cool. They're completely round, as you can see. For any kind of rolling trick, this is going to create a very different feel from a blockier handle. And they're channel milled, integral construction there, so there's a lot of strength, less to kind of wiggle around, and they just feel really, really smooth. I mean, just quite smooth. What can I say? Really good price for a trainer. And like I said, we've got a bunch of colors. This one right here is desert orange. We've got blacks and purples and blues, all kinds of cool stuff. We've even got some versions that have 2 different handle colors on them. And that could actually help some folks out there, especially when you're learning stuff. This is a trainer after all. A lot of full-end Balisongs on the edge that faces on the handle that faces the sharpened edge on your Bali, there will typically be a latch on this side. So it's very easy to tell just at a glance whether you're on the safe handle or whether you're on the bite handle. Now, of course, we don't have a latch on this particular one, but on those different colored handle options, you'll be able to get used to which one of your handles is the safe and the bite handle, which is going to help when you transfer your skills to a regular blade. Now, keeping going with sort of the comfort of the round handles here, The spine of this trainer blade also is crowned, so you've got that round interface right there. So you're not going to have to worry about sharper, 90-degree edges hitting your fingies as you're swinging around. They're just really nice. Priced pretty well, I think. Yeah, if I were buying a trainer right now, I'd be hard pressed to pick between this and some of the what are those guys? What are those other guys?
The squids.
The squids.
Yeah,
yeah, those squids. Thomas knew what I was talking about. Yeah, just check them out while we got them. The last batch of their trainers we had did go pretty quickly, so don't wait too long. All right, next up we've got a new Emerson. This is the mini Sheepdog Bowie with the clip point blade right there, coming in just over 200. We've got two versions, the plain edge as well as a partially serrated edge, and that's a few bucks more, but I think only about $5 or so. Yeah, those are about 207, so about $5. Cool little smaller design from Emerson. Blade here again, 3 inches. Got a lot of 3-inch knives on the table today, actually. But that's a 154 cm blade, fairly stout. This is still a tactical beast at heart, even though it's smaller. And that Bowie type of clip point shape there is going to give you a little more piercing than some of the other like drop point versions of this knife that have been out there. And you've got titanium liners as well as black G10 for the handles. And in typical Emerson fashion, they do have a decent bit of texture to them, but it's a little tamed down versus some of the bigger knives that they have out there that have a really aggressive pattern. There's definitely still plenty of traction here, but it is a little bit less rough than some of those other ones. As far as opening methods, you've got 3 different things going on here. Of course, you've got the typical Emerson wave, so you can deploy it on the edge of your pocket hem as you draw it. You've also got that ambidextrous thumb plate, but you've also got that flipper mechanism right there along with ball bearings in the pivot, so you can flip that open very nicely indeed. Now, despite the smaller size, I still think you're going to be able to get a lot of good work done with this. My slightly larger than average hands don't quite have a full 4-fingered grip on here. As you can see, my pinky kind of hits right there at the beak, but it's not super uncomfortable. I don't feel like I'm getting jabbed or stabbed because it is nicely and rounded over. So I can still get a pretty darn comfortable gorilla grip on this knife if I'm needing to really push through some stuff. And I'm still going to have a little bit more agility with the smaller size when I'm not doing that kind of, that hammer grip when you're really going at it. All right, next up, it's my time of the video where I get to talk about some fixed blades. Got a new one here from Halfbreed. Halfbreed blades out of Australia. This is the medium infantry knife with a 6.5-inch blade. And I actually didn't check these side by side, but I think this is the same handle as on their clip point blade that kind of mimics the classic K-bar or the Mark II fighting knife. This one though comes with this more dagger style of profile. It is single edge though. The top edge here is not sharpened. You probably could sharpen it if you wanted to, but it'd be pretty thick behind the edge. You might need to remove a lot of material. But for the enterprising individuals out there, you certainly could do it. But even without that edge, in addition to having an aggressive piercing point, that profile with the relief there along the spine is essentially, you can kind of think of it as an oversized big swedge. And what that does is it creates kind of a diamond-shaped cross-section to the blade, which is going to be pretty darn efficient when you're moving through softer materials. I'm not going to say what those materials are, but you know what I'm talking about for sure. Now the blade steel is D2, and it comes with a Teflon coating and a few different colors as well, as is typical with Halfbreed. And you've got a partially serrated edge here, but again, I believe there are some full plain edge versions if you'd like. A few different points on the tang as well, so you could lash this in typical kind of military survival knife fashion. And one of the things that I really appreciate about this handle design over something like a classic Mark II fighter, since I mentioned that before with the other blade shape, is the guard here at the back is not as pronounced as the guard here at the bottom. So you do get a lot of finger protection there, but you can choke up past this rear guard a little bit better if you need to do some carving work or some more intricate detail work. Obviously on this with the combo edge there with the partial serrations, that's even more important, so you can get closer to that plain edge version for some of those types of tasks that you might need. The handles are milled G10. They've got this sort of mountain tread type of pattern, and it actually creates some really nice spots for your fingers to land. They actually spaced them out, so you've got 4 main valleys right there, and they behave kind of like those finger grooves. So, just visually, whenever I see a handle like this, I always worry about ergonomics and that it might create some hot spots. not that big a deal on this particular knife. You can definitely tell there's some traction there, but it's not, it doesn't feel sharp at all. And if you're wearing combat gloves or work gloves, that's gonna disappear almost entirely, and you're gonna get the traction you need in a gloved hand. Finally, here at the back, you've got an apex here at the pommel for some striking needs, as well as a nice bail, or a nice milled slot there. It's kind of like a bail, I guess. And of course, you've got a nice Kydex sheath as well. Comes with a few different attachment methods. You've got a Dots Molly clip here, 2 of them in fact, so this can be attached to your Molly gear. It also comes with a Tech-Lock style belt attachment if you'd rather use that. And that's really cool that they include both of those things right in the box, especially considering you're paying about $260 for this. It's nice to see that they didn't skimp on the sheath. They gave you certainly a full featured sheath system. And if the knife and sheath weren't enough, you've even got a morale patch included with this heavily armed koala here. So that comes at you. Look out! You know that koala means business. All right, next up, if you that 260 is too much for you, but you really want a fixed blade this week, check this knife out. This is the REVO RJ1, coming in at $65 right now. I actually really like this particular blade shape. It's a very broad, wide drop point profile. It's a 9CR stainless, so you got 440C levels of performance, just under 4 inches long, decent thickness. We're at about 3/32 I want to say there, just based on my my eyeball calipers, and a almost full flat, or a full height flat grind. Really, really good slicing capabilities going on here. This is going to be a great camp food prep knife, great everyday utility knife with that type of slicing going on, and a really good hunting knife too. You've got a short enough length that's going to be easily maneuverable. I can get my fingertip right out there near the point of the knife to guard that, and you've got a lot of belly there to do some really nice sweeping cuts. Handles on these are G10, and you've got an orange liner on all 3 of the different colors we've got right now. There's a blue, kind of a lighter blue, and sort of a coyote brown G10, and both of those also come with that really nice orange G10 liner right there. The handle scales are removable, as you can see, and you do have a broad finger guard here at the front and a smaller one here, but I don't find that it gets too much in the way, at least on my hands. It feels really good. No guard here in front or right behind the heel of the blade, so the edge is a little bit exposed, so be careful, but you do have a nice broad finger cut out there, so you're not too close to that edge while you're working. Then here at the back, you do have a protruding pommel here as well. It's not a crisp edge or anything so it doesn't feel uncomfortable in the palm of your hand. It's not really gonna dig in too much, at least it doesn't feel like it will as I grip it here. You've got some jimping there at the back for some traction. You could use this for busting open some things in a survival scenario. Oh, and I almost forgot actually, you've got a really cool faux hammered type of finish on the flats of this blade, which you see a little bit of that as you get out to the main section of the blade as well. And then the spine has sort of a black stonewash texture going on. It's just really cool. Make a great camp knife, great all-around utility knife for folks who like to head outdoors, take it hiking. Now the sheath here, it is a Kydex sheath, and it is actually pretty broad. I was surprised by how wide this was. But the reason for that is they give you a few options here on the back, and it's going to look kind of complicated until I tell you what's going on. You do have a standard size Tech-Lock that's attached right there, but in addition to that, you can't really see it, but you've got almost a square of Kydex underneath, but you can see you've got posts in 4 corners, so it's open. So you could actually thread a belt through this, both vertical or horizontal, whichever way you would like, and it's going to work for standard belt carry that way as well. You can, of course, take that off if you wish and just mount the Tech-Lock directly to the sheath, or mount the Tech-Lock to that extra square right there, so you got kind of the best of both worlds. Again, another refreshingly not skimped on sheath system on a knife, especially more impressive when you consider, again, just $65 for a really cool blade. All right, that's all I've got time for this week. Make sure to let me know what your favorites were there down in the comments. Some really cool stuff for me, especially this week. I'm really excited. I feel like a lot of these things could have been like #1 billing on this video. Maybe a lot of the manufacturers have been saving the best stuff for last in terms of the holiday season here coming up. But anyway, I liked a lot of stuff here. Let me know what you liked. And if you want to get your hands on any of these, make sure you hit the links in the description to take you over to the KnifeCenter. And while you're over there, make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program. since you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next purchase if you're gonna buy one of these knives anyway. All right, folks, that's it for today. Remember, if you haven't yet, please do subscribe. We really would appreciate the help. And I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.